Need to say happy birthday in person, Rick Henderson. And of course, everybody knows that other deep, mellifluous voice, Yale Lewis.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day. Boy, 16 years old today.
Isn't it?
Sweet 16.
Sweet 16.
Backwards.
Backwards, really?
Really?
Really? It's that time, huh? Well, you're feeling good, though, right?
Sure.
All right, that's the way to be.
You have to feel good.
How were you feeling when you were playing with Ellington?
Well, I joined Ellington when I was 23. It took me about 2 weeks to realize what I had done. I'd just come out of the Army in November of 1952, and on March 10th, I joined the Duke Ellington Band, 1953. So you can imagine coming out the Army after 2 years. I was a wild young man.
At 23? Yeah.
At 23. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So when I joined Duke, it took me about 2 weeks to realize that I had made a transition from 0 to something.
like going at Mach speed,
Yeah.
0 to 60
Yeah,
in 5 seconds.
And it was a...
But how did that happen? I mean, were you in the Army band while you were
Well, I was
in the
conductor
service?
of the 63rd Army Band and the 75th Army Band, which happened to be in Fort Belvoir, Virginia. But I had been out of the service, and like most guys, I was just trying to find out what I wanted to do. Because I come out on November the 8th.
Your 2 years were up.
Yeah, my 2 years was up. And I was just in between. And I was hitting and missing, like most of us do in this crazy occupation. And I think on March the 8th, I got a call from someone say, would I like to join Duke Ellington's band? I just said, why not? I'm doing a lot of nothing now. I was.
And this is something, and I get to play.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what happened, he was in the Washington area at a place called the Quonset Hut. And I went out to the Quonset Hut. He said, you're a saxophone player? I said, yes. He put a white dinner jacket on me, set me down with the band, and proceeded with his show.
No audition.
That was it.
That was it.
that was the audition.
You sink or swim in front of all these people right now.
Right, that was it.
Yeah, the king had a way of doing things like that.
He never had a special rehearsal for me at all. And when I joined the band, we left from the Howard Theater. That was the meeting place for all the guys. And it was on March the 10th, and I started riding that marvelous bus. And my first trip was to Savannah, Georgia, from Washington, on that marvelous bus.
What a trip, what an experience, I'm sure, going to Savannah. But you go where the audience is.
That's when I learned it was a cinder block hotel we were staying, and the guy said, you better get yourself some deodorant. So I got one of these smoke bombs, because cinder block attracts what those red bugs, water bugs. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it was Clark Terry, I think it might have been Clark or Willie Cook told me, see, now you get this bomb, you throw it in the room, and you go out and eat.
And then and you come back when the air clears.
I'm serious.
Gosh, really?
That's what we did. It was a cinder block building, and it was damp. And water bugs just, they come up like that.
And the experiences and things that must have happened on the road that people, when you go to a show, you don't think about what the artist goes through, and especially in that time, what the artist goes through to get to that point where they're sitting on stage doing what they do.
People seem to think that all we do is do the glamour part of it. They don't know nothing about the 10-hour rides, the sad hotels, the greasy food you smell a mile away and you have to eat.
Because that's it. There's nothing else.
They think it's all glamour. Unfortunately, it's not. We pay a lot of dues.
Well, you made it through the glamorous parts and through the dues-paying parts.
Well,
and here we are.
When you're young, it's a big adventure. I always tell people my first 3 times around the country, I enjoyed it. The 4th time, it got to be a job. Well, it's new to you.
Yeah.
And you're meeting new people.
Experience.
You're seeing new things. The first time we went around the country, well, what we would do, they would come out in New York and they'd take the southern route to California. The next time we take the northern route to California. The next time we go to the central of the country, Wyoming, all those places that you are up on the scene on the map. Mm-hmm. But after you've done that 3 times, there's no longer a novelty. Either you like it or you don't.
How long were you with the Ellington organization?
Initially, I stayed from 53 to 56. I came out and I took over the leadership of the Howard Theater band. As the house band, we supported all the acts at the time. And then in between, we were off a lot. I would go back out with Duke as he had different emergencies in the saxophone section.
So that would mean at 26, you were in charge of the house band of the Howard.
26, 27, right. I was the youngest band leader in the world.
I was going to say you must have been.
Yeah, I was.
At that time.
I'll share something else with you about him. You know, when we first came on, I called him Rick Jones.
Yes, you did. I didn't forget that.
Yeah,
I didn't make a note, but I made a note up here.
Well,
okay.
You know, he has we have a dear mutual friend, Clark Terry, that draped that on him. You know, they were performing together with Duke all over the country. Mm-hmm. And one day he looked at him and he says, you know, I'm looking at that billboard up there featuring Rick Henderson. He said, man, your name is too long. From now on, you're going to be Rick Jones.
Yeah, so CT, that's one of my brothers. He was my roommate, really, through most of the 3 years. Initially, I stayed with Duke, and I went back and forth for another 4 years. Depends when who was out. Mm-hmm. One time, Connie got sick, and Russell Proco played the baritone, and I played the alto chair. And then another time, Johnny Hodges had an illness, and I took his seat. Then another time, somebody played, I took Paul or somebody's seat. Duke, he liked to keep things in the family because he had his own way of doing things, and he wanted less confusion and transitions as possible.
Mm-hmm. So you use the people that you know are going to fit in.
Yeah, you know, it makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
Why gamble, you know? I knew the system, so.
One of those illnesses with Hodges was when he had that stomach trouble. That's when you did the recording of Drummer's Woman Suite.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the only time Hodges and I were playing on the same album, Drummer's Woman. It's kind of funny because I grew up in senior high school loving Johnny Hodges. We was talking about it yesterday. We used to cut our classes on Fridays to go to the Howard Theater. And whenever Duke got there, I was right there watching Johnny Hodges. And 20 years later, I'm sitting in his seat.
With him. Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting and playing his music.
Mm-hmm.
It's frightening experience. But, you know.
But it's a dream come true. It's just one of those experiences that so few people ever get to.
Well, initially I didn't really believe it. I said it took me about 2 weeks to realize I had made that transition, and it was kind of a real thing that just grabbed me. Say, you know what you just done? Come out of the Army, do nothing, and join the #1 band in the world, Duke Ellington.
But that's
then I got sober.
You sober up and say, oh, what have I done? My guest, friends, if you're just joining us for this edition of Caravan, is Rick Henderson and Yale Lewis. And you know the number, and if you don't, I'll give it to you. It's 364-6092. We invite you to call in and be a part of this. If there is an Ellington favorite that you may want to hear this afternoon, well, you should see the stack of albums that Yale Lewis brought, and I'm sure we've got it in there somewhere, and we can probably find it. 364-6092 is the number. What were you doing during this period of time, Yale?
Oh, I was doing my little back in the broadcasting situation. I was doing that. Mm-hmm. I had been out of Howard University and back on the scene. I was worrying Rick Henderson half to death every time he was when he had the house band at the Howard Theater. We lived right next door to one another during that
608 and 610 Jefferson.
608 and 610 Jefferson Northwest. And, if I'd come in or something, I'd see Rick coming down the street. He'd say, hey, man, what's happening? I'd say, hey, I'm going on in, maybe have a beer or something. He'd say, you coming down to the theater tonight? Yeah, I'll be down. And listen to the music. The funny thing about him, though, I don't care what group came into town at the Howard Theater. Sometimes they wouldn't have their own bands or orchestras, but the house band then took over. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, Rick doesn't like to tell you about it, but a lot of people would come in, wouldn't have a sheet of anything. I've seen this guy sit up on a bandstand and do arrangements right for the whole band on the spot for them. And then when he finished with them, yes, they had an arrangement. And I don't mean no little time stars. Some big time people would come in there and wouldn't have the first sheet of paper.
Well, we got to give an explanation of this. At that time, all the recordings were made with small combos, 5 and 6 pieces. But when they got to the Howard Theater, they have a 12-piece band. And no act wanted the other act to have a bigger band sound than he had. Mm-hmm. So what most of them would do would call me before they got there. And they would want, by midnight, to have that big band behind them for the midnight show. Because that's when the screamers would be there.
Yes. Yeah, the audience changes, right.
So 2 or 3 days, I just stayed up and did it.
Gosh. Who was in the house band that we might know?
Well, today is like my birthday, and there's some guys I like to personally thank who you know quite well. The young man who did quite a few of these professional recordings, his name was Benjamin Montgomery. He had the old 600 Ampex. The only other person who had one in the city was Tex Gaffins. This, we're talking about 30 years ago. I'm talking about 33 years ago, actually. And when we weren't playing in the theater, they would allow me to go into the theater and rehearse the band. So since Ben had just bought this gorgeous new equipment for a few $1,000s, he wanted to try it out. And it was a good opportunity for us to get some professional recordings. So Ben, he did most of the things that you would hear that we did. And they were done at the Howard Theater as a rehearsal. And you say, who were some of the guys? Well, we'll start out with 3 guys who one guy who was a senior citizen, and I'm quite sure Yale knows him well. He was there when I started. He was there when I left. And he played with several other house bands. Julius Pope. He was there the whole 8 years I was there. And then there's my little big brother, Dr. Clarence E. Knight, who's now the coordinator of music at Bowie State. He was there. There's Peter Ford, who had the first senior high school jazz ensemble. There's Calvin Jones, who was my assistant band leader, who is your leader of your jazz ensemble.
Right.
And Bobby Felder. And all the band leaders. Irby has played with my band during the Ellington series. Dr. George Ross, he took my place at Maryland University. When I left, he came in the same slot. It was just a whole bunch of guys. We just did it. We had fun then. It was a lot more fun, a lot more freedom. We didn't make no money, but we had fun.
We had fun. And sometimes it's better to have the fun than all the additional problems.
I hate to disagree with a lady, but I'd rather have the money.
You certainly want the money. But you certainly want the money. I hear a voice on the phone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
This is Jimmy McPhail.
Oh, hi.
How you doing?
Welcome.
I understand that today is Rick's birthday, and I want to wish him a happy birthday.
All right, bros.
We were talking today earlier about that dollar bill. He called me on the telephone this morning, pretending he was someone else, and played this record called "I've Got to Have That Dollar Bill." So now I hear he's talking about that money.
Guitar Watson, dollar bill, dollar bill.
That's right. Faune, how you been?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. The program is fine. I've been listening to you since the last time I was up there on it.
Oh,
That's been a couple of years now.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I've got to have you in.
Well, anytime you say.
Okay.
For that fellow with the big voice, I said hello also.
That sounds like McPhail. I put my headsets on late.
Oh, that you did, right.
So that must be Sir
Recognize the
James.
voice.
Yeah.
Hello, Sir
How
James.
you doing, Yale?
It's all right, sir.
The record, the music that Rick played, All the Things You Are, was out of sight. I hadn't heard that for a while.
Say, James, I think I told you this morning that we closed with your Come Sunday yesterday.
Oh.
The thing you did on My People.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gee, thanks. That's
Yale
nice.
pulled it out of his bag, and we played it.
And I intend to pull it out again today.
Wonderful.
Okay.
I'm listening.
It's in the lineup. You have quite a bit of experience, and I'm sure some stories that you could tell also, relating with your experiences and Ellington.
Oh, yes.
Don't tell the truth. Don't tell the truth.
Oh, yes. I have quite a few.
We've got the time, and it's your dime right now. Something you want to you can share with us?
Well, there were times when you would work with Ellington, and you'd sit on the stage all night, and he wouldn't call on you. Then the next day he'll say, Jimmy McPhail, and he'll have me to sing. Mm-hmm. Then other times he'd go back into that bag. But it was a terrific experience, though. Mm-hmm. You learned a lot working for him, and you just went all over the country.
James, did I ever tell you how I got to write the arrangement of All the Things You Are?
I think it was because, something happened on the stage that somebody couldn't perform.
No, that was another tune.
Oh.
Well, when I joined Duke's band, naturally, I had no slow slots. So we got to El Paso, Texas, and after 2 weeks, I was a frustrated young man. So I went to a dime store and bought one of these gorgeous ledgers that kids write, and I wrote the arrangement of All the Things You Are. And on our way to California, we played it. And the next thing I know, on all the programs featuring our concerts, it was All the Things You Are, solo by Rick Henderson. He never asked. Come to think, he never paid me for that music.
Hey, he didn't pay for a lot of things. Yes, sir. The Duke was something else.
Getting instant amnesia about the money.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Marquette Foley was here from the Smithsonian, and she related that the very same thing, that when it came to the money.
Well, I tell you something he would do too. He wouldn't carry any money with him.
Well, that way you don't have to worry about that.
No, but he would borrow yours. He'd meet you out in the car. Hey, lend me some money. Pay the check.
People who smoke cigarettes and never have any.
Then he get amnesia. Did you lend me some money? Duke, time you see me, give me my money.
Yeah, those were some of the good days, weren't they?
Yeah.
But it's just at this point you can say it's nice to have been there and to have been able to share those experiences.
Oh,
so,
yes.
You know,
yes.
You as you say, you would have rather had the money.
Of course.
Yes.
Time.
Oh. That's why I played this thing for Jimmy this morning. You know, what they say, something about the cash. Don't need no trash, need cash.
Yes,
True.
I got smart, though, in the later years. I was paying my hotel rent, out of the money I was making. I wasn't making that much. I had to send money back home. I learned how to sign Duke Ellison's name. And they throw it in with the rest of the bill.
That's what all his family did. You guys
right. Oh, boy, that family. Wow. They took care of him. They spent all the money.
Yeah. Whew. Something else.
Well, Jimmy, it's sure been nice having you call in today, and I will be in touch to have you come in, and you and I will share some time together.
Fine.
Okay?
Anytime you say.
All righty.
Nice talking to all of you.
Thank you so much.
Talk to you later, James.
Okay, baby.
Hang tough, James.
Bye-bye.
This is WDCU FM in Washington, and you're listening to The Caravan. Faune is my name. My guests this afternoon are Rick Henderson and Yale Lewis. And we're going to get back to the music in just a wee bit. It's now 11 minutes before the hour of 4. We've got another listener on the line that wants to share a question, a comment, something with us. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
How are you this evening?
I'm wonderful. Thank you.
I want to speak to Rick.
Be my guest.
Hey, Junior.
Junior, this is my cousin Lonnie.
No. This is somebody from down at 50 Virginia Avenue, Southeast.
Junior?
Yeah.
Boy, if I wasn't on the air, I'd tell you something.
Boy, it goes back a long time, don't it?
When you say Junior, the only other person in my family calls me Junior is Lonnie.
No, this
I
is
hope
a
he's
friend.
working today.
This is
he'll
a
do the
friend
same.
from the old canteen days down around the junior high.
Oh, baby. 1943.
1943, that's a long time, isn't it?
43 to 46.
I think you was around that way, that 507 down by Mr. Lewis' store?
807, 2nd Street,
No,
Southwood.
507 I Street down
505 I Street.
down there with Charles Feast and Joe Day.
Sure was.
Oh, boy, that goes back a long time, don't it?
Oh, baby.
Yeah,
You
man.
better tell me who it is before I come through this phone.
This is Bun. I used to live across the street from Carrington Vise on 5th Street.
Yeah, I know. Yep.
I
Because
think...
we used to live at 742 5th Street.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Old Sonny Vise, he's in California.
Yeah, he's in California.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He's been in California.
Yeah, where's Mike at?
Buddy?
Yeah.
New York.
Oh, man. Well, how you been, Junior?
Junior. Boy.
I love it. I love it.
R-I-C-K, a 61-year-old junior.
Well, that's what we used to call you.
Junior. Now I'm in trouble, sure enough.
Yeah, that's what we used to call you. There,
Everyone's going to start saying junior now.
Uh-huh. How's things been?
Fine. Can't complain. I've been very fortunate, very lucky to be a full-time musician most of my life and eat. And you can tell I eat because I overweight. So it's been pretty nice, yeah.
Not too much overweight that we couldn't get up a little football game again.
Dream on, dream on, dream on. The best thing I'll try is some tennis.
Some tennis?
If you
you
stay too long, I'm going to leave you.
Oh, man. Well, Junior, it was good talking to you.
Same here.
I look forward to talking to you Friday on the show, but I don't think you was able to make it.
Friday?
Yeah, I think that Jamal Hammond or something like that, he kept saying.
Oh, we did that yesterday.
We did that yesterday, yeah.
Oh, y'all did that yesterday?
Yeah.
Man, I was looking forward to seeing that.
Well, you better stop using that stuff.
Huh?
You stop using that stuff. Friday
But
for
you
Monday.
but you got but you got him today, and well, you're listening to the right station right now.
Okay, then.
Glad you called in.
Take care now.
Thank you
Okay.
much.
All right, bye-bye.
Goodbye. Good afternoon. You're listening to The Caravan. You're on the air with me, Faune, Rick Henderson, and Yale Lewis.
Hello, Rick Henderson, Yale Lewis, and Faune. This is the mystery guest.
Tell Knox.
Hi.
How you going to be a mystery?
No mystery.
Man, how you know with me? Look,
No
Rick.
mystery to
Or you
Knox.
can't change that gravel voice?
Right.
Oh, boy, listen here. I just want to tell Faune that Rick Henderson started me in the music business.
I'm not that old, man.
Yes, it was some years ago. And I had to tell everybody this. If it had not been for Rick Henderson and Charlie Butler in the beginning, I would not have been in the business. But there's one thing Rick used to hold over my head was, Rick, remember the night you called me from the armory?
Yeah.
And said, come over here and join this band. And I told you, no, I was going with the other fellow.
Mm-hmm. The other fella?
The other guy.
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah.
Rick had never let me down on that. And every birthday he reminds me of it. And that happened some years
He
ago.
wouldn't go join Duke's band. He went on their car.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
But look, Rick,
Yep.
I'm glad you made it this year.
Boy, you.
And Yale Lewis.
I'm standing here with you.
Now listen, Yale. I hate to use the program to talk business, but will you call me as soon as you get off the show?
I know exactly what you want to talk about.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
And Gwen?
No, this is
Gwen.
Faune.
That's
Renee,
fun,
I mean.
This
Yeah.
is fun.
Yeah.
She doesn't keep my tapes a year.
But you don't? Well, I just want to tell you something, and I want everybody on the radio to know this.
Mm-hmm.
You can have all the Duke Ellington experts in the world in Washington, D.C., but until you hear the arrangements of Rick Henderson, then nobody else fits the bill. I played him, I learned to play him, and he was the man who taught me. So therefore, you were speaking to the Bible, and I dare anybody else to say that he is not. Have a nice one. I'll see you tonight.
Say,
Rick.
Bertel,
Yeah, buddy.
don't send me no bill, boy. Don't send me no PR.
With this kind of build up, you know it's coming. Look here, go on with the program.
Thank you very much.
You know, this is the first time I ever got through on any one of those programs.
Really?
I mean, I'm telling you.
They love you, Bertel.
I know they do, man. Cuss me out every day, but they love me.
Keep you out.
Okay, then, take it easy.
Good
Thank
talking
you
to
much.
you.
Okay, buddy.
Thank you
Okay,
very
steady rhythm. Oh, steady rhythm, Bertel now.
much. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, indeed. Another person who I've been trying to get in to come to the station, and our schedules never seem to match.
Roberto?
But yeah.
I'm surprised he called. He doesn't like to talk.
Well, maybe that's why he hasn't been in for an interview. Anyway, we can't talk about the man after he hung up. Good afternoon.
He's
You're
listening.
Yes. You're on the air with Rick Henderson.
Hello,
Yale Lewis.
honey.
Hi.
Hi, pretty lady.
Oh, hello, Sam, man. I see, this is the voice that I know. Yes.
How you doing? I want to say
Fine,
hello to them two senior citizens you got up there. Because they're in the same category with me, but...
Oh, no.
Yes, that young one up there, he's a little behind me.
Thank God.
But they're still senior citizens.
There it is.
I listen to you, Yale.
Yes.
Just be quiet. Be quiet. 'Cause you the grandfather. I just want to say hello to you.
My man,
And,
man.
And my good friend Rick, see, I've been following him for a long time, all around all the dance halls and things. Used to come in and sit in with Bill Baldwin's band
Oh,
sometimes.
man.
Colonnade.
I was a teenager then.
Yes, you was a teenager.
The old Colonnade.
All them boys was a teenager. Bucky Hill and all
You're
them
right.
used to come in there. Charlie Rouse. And,
We all went to Armstrong.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was an old Cadoza fella myself, see, but I was a little ahead of you all.
Yeah, you're right. You quite a bit ahead of us.
I left
10 years.
Cadoza in 38 when CC came.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did 28th and M Street and all these.
Yeah, it was quite a transition. The old
Yeah.
Colonnade.
Yeah, yeah.
Most people don't remember the Colonnade. That was our principal place of dances, right under the.
Something I want to ask Yale.
Yes, Ann.
Do you have Duke's 70th anniversary album with you?
Didn't bring it in. I have it, but I don't have it with me.
Oh, wow.
No.
Well, I'm going to do it tomorrow with my man, Nap.
Oh, yeah.
But I wanted, like I was telling Jamal yesterday, that album, it shows you something. You know, you all were talking about the different arrangements
Right.
that are made, and that album really tells you something. You know, I listen to it often, you know.
It's a very good album.
Huh?
It's a very good album.
Yeah. Okay, I just want to say hello to you senior citizens, and don't you two up there worry my pretty lady to death.
You're pretty lady.
All right.
Thank you so much, Sam. And tell me, don't hang up. You hold on for just a second, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you. We're near the top of the hour. You're listening to WDCU FM in Washington. We're going to take one more call, and then we're going to get into some of the music about the man about which we've been speaking and celebrating his 90th birthday, Duke Ellington. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Faune. How you feel?
Wonderful, sir.
This is your friend again. I'm still listening to you as always, and whether you're on mornings or evenings, I enjoy you and Gwen Redding.
Oh, good.
My question to Mr. Lewis, Yale Lewis, is, first of all, where are you now? What are you involved with now in terms of radio broadcasting?
I'm involved in freelancing occasionally. Sometimes I do voiceover commercials, but the majority of my time is taken as a commissioner on the D.C. Taxi Cab Commission.
Okay, well, one's got to do what one's got to do, but I
That's
sure will
it.
miss you on the radio. When was it you were predominantly doing radio shows such as Gwen's doing today? When was that? Was
Gwen?
it WOOK years ago? Or what?
Yeah, it was WOK years ago, and WUST, and WHUR.
Okay, okay. I can remember OOK, and I think maybe during the UST days I must have been away in the service or something like that, and then I also remember you at the HUR.
Right.
Okay.
And WETA, I put 7 years there.
Yeah, I sure did. Yeah, I vaguely remember that too, though, because I don't know, somehow or another ETA didn't get the kind of publicity that would have attracted listeners. And I think I found out about it by accident. You know, I read it in the Weekend Post weekend section.
That's why everybody saves money, or the way everybody saves money. They put it in the Weekender, and then they won't do any other advertising.
Yeah,
I mean, WETA is a public radio station just like this one, and they depend on you for your support.
True.
And they can't afford to go out and advertise in papers.
UDC's got my support always, especially with the two ladies that are currently doing their program. They are fantastic. They're doing a wonderful job, and I just can't give them enough praise. As far as Rick is concerned, Brother Rick, how you doing this evening?
Pretty good.
Okay, good, man. Good to hear you. Your voice, I haven't seen you, and Rick, I don't think I've seen you, man, since, man, I'm ashamed to say this, but it must have been some years back when you were last at the Howard. And I understand I
left
worked
the
with
Howard in
a cousin.
1964.
Yeah.
Boy, you old.
Well, hey, 40s ain't bad. Those are the better years. I worked with Rick Henderson's, must be his cousin or nephew, or niece, rather. And right offhand, I can't call her name, but she mentioned to me a program that you all did in town a couple years ago. I think it's an annual thing you do, your band.
Well, I got funded by the National Endowment of Arts and Music Performance Trust. I did about 7 years of Duke Ellington concerts where we played free to the public in Washington parks from 2 to 5 consecutive days in summertime.
Okay, but this was
It wasn't actually annual, but we just got lucky to get funded 7 years.
Oh, right. Because this was a paid engagement.
Huh?
This was an engagement where you had to purchase a ticket.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and
I should remember that.
for the life of me, I wish I could think of you.
Oh, it may have been one of the dances we did called Dance to Look and Listen at the Ukrainian Shrine.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
We used
exactly
to
what I'm
do
talking about.
different things where we got a chance to play something else other than the Ellington music. Yeah, Ukrainian Shrine.